Watch this. See it trying to turn but won't go? I'm about to show you what it is. It's 90% one of two problems when it does that. The very first step, let's get the spark plug out of this thing. And I want you to pay really close attention because I'm gonna make this real simple. Let's get this thing out. When you're pulling this spark plug out, I want you to watch right down in here because this thing is gonna have one of two problems. That turned over strong when I turned her over. Blang, 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 blang. Watch, 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 watch. Don't miss it. Nothing. The spark plug is dry. So what did we just learn? We learned it does not have a carburetor issue. Well, at least it's not leaking. Welcome back to Rayleigh's Small Engines. I'm T-Bone. This is your Get to the Point channel. Let me show you what's wrong with this one. We already knew our battery is good. You can see how good it's turning over. Maybe you tested yours. You probably done put a starter. You probably done put a starter. You may have put a solenoid, everything else, battery and all, still won't turn over. Now what we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna turn this engine over by hand. You see these valves going up and down and doing stuff? They're doing valve things. Somebody get my light. Dang it. Now as I turn the engine over, you can see that was the exhaust valve. There goes the intake. Top dead center, here comes the exhaust valve. And y'all notice something? What you're looking for, make sure these valves are set to 4 thousandths. A tight one and a loose one. Specs are gonna tell you a little different. 4 and 6, 4 and 8, whatever. I set them at 4, I don't care what they say. When you're spinning this engine over, you wanna watch this valve down here. This is your intake valve. And look for a bump is what you're looking for. See, that's gonna open. It's gonna come back closed. And then as I spin it a little more, it should be just a little boop, 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 boop is all you're gonna see. Just one time it go boop, boop. You'll spin it on around exhaust. Intake opens, boop, boop, and we don't have that. So a lot of times when I have that issue, I pull my dipstick out and take you a stick magnet if you got one. You get in there fiddling around. Sometimes, ooh, there's another piece. Look, there is the spring for it I just found. The reason I was saving this right here, where'd it go? The reason I was saving this is another piece of metal, the compression release from the camshaft. And if you find any little pieces down there with a stick magnet, you're putting in a camshaft there, my friend. So a little tiny spring, this little mess. Let's get her fixed. Well, y'all get over here where you can see. Now on this side, first thing we got to do is a harness right here. Got little locks on it. Pinch and pull it apart. Next thing we're gonna do is get the starter loose. You don't even have to disconnect the battery. Disconnect the battery, somebody going, Anyway, hold your wire so you don't twist that stud. Pop that bad boy loose right there. This is real simple, folks. I'm gonna make this really easy for anybody to do this. Put your nut back on. We're done on this side. Now on this side, on the carburetor side, you don't even have to worry about unplugging the solenoid. All we gotta do is take the fuel line off and the throttle off. And that little breather hose right there, some models have it, some of them don't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Pull that out, it's just a little Z-bend. Boom, just like that. The clamp is broke. We'll put a new one on there for the failure. Pull our fuel line off. Want to be careful, you don't want to break the thing off the elbow back here. It is plastic. Okay, perfect. Ooh, I told y'all a story. We got the starter off, I said that was it. I forgot about the muffler. Let's buzz your muffler bolts out. Now we got a couple more things to take loose. Let's get that out of the way too. Every model's different, depending on the kind of machine you got. all that's out of the way. Now I got this thing jacked up in the air so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Now the first thing we're going to do is pull this bracket off, but I want you to pay close attention to what hole that is in. Mark it with a Sharpie or something if you need to. It fell on the floor. Now let's get this water up. Well, it's out of the way, huh? You just touch it and it just falls out in the right place for you. Now all we got to do is lift up on the deck a little bit, push this over. Oh yeah, take your deck belt, slide it off. Now we're going to take this little lock pin off. Just like that. That's what it looks like. Lift up on the deck a little, pull that out, drop your deck out of the way. That'll give you a little more room under here to do the rest. All right, let's get this pulley out of the way. Oh, put it in reverse. That bad boy is tight. Just so you folks know, this man does do a lot of repairs on his own machine. He has, I know he's replaced the double pulley, and he's probably had this off. If this is cross-threaded and breaks, we got a problem. This will come off. I hope in a good way. Let's be gentle. I hope this don't ring off. Oh, these are never that stiff. Let's see. Look at there. Red Loctite. Threads look fine. Wow. There's your pulley. Boy, this about became a whole different video. How to fix your stripped crankshaft. Got 4 bolt holes this engine on. Now when I take this last bolt over here loose, this thing is going to want to fall, but it'll only go back just a little bit. So just be careful, be aware of what's going to happen. See, didn't move much. All right, let's get her off of there. So before you start this, drain your oil. I forgot. I was busy. I was filming stuff. Get out the Rayleigh Small Engines Evacuator 6000. That ought to do it. Now that we got the oil out, let's go ahead. Remove the air. That needs to be replaced. Take your air filter off, okay? I'm just gonna stick that back on there. Be gentle. And let's flip this upside down. Be careful, because you don't want to break this plastic and stuff. Let's just flip it. Grip it and flip it, man. Just like that. Look at there. Sits up there pretty, don't it? Now the next thing we want to do, this one is a Torx. Back them nuts off. Oh, that one's tight because the crankshaft is turned. Pop this out, and this out, and this out. There you go. Let's do this side. This one I can take a little pressure off, maybe. I need to turn the engine over. Hold on. Let's do this. Turn the engine, turn the engine. There we go. Ooh, that's not good. It only turns a little bit and stops now. You know why? But it's got cam parts in the way. Now that that's out of the way, don't forget these little caps right here, you do not want to lose those. Ask me how I know. Put them right in there. That's your pieces parts holder 4000. Make sure you write the numbers down now. You'll notice one of these is aluminum and one of these are steel. The aluminum goes on the intake side. See if I can get y'all a good angle. Hold on. Now, as you can tell, I just took a little board and put it under there, get a little anglage on it. Hold your ears. You know, I ain't never had to put a battery in this. But I can't argue with my battery DeWalt little thingy, little impactor. Gotta like that. Don't worry about these, they're all the same size. Most engines. Now get your Tanya Harding 4000, 2500, whatever model you want. You want to be careful. Try not to break nothing. Just light taps. And you'll hear it when she starts coming loose. The sound of change. Oof, a little dirty. Now, your governor, I'll show you about this in a little while. Camshaft. There it is. And right in that hole right there is where that little goes to bump your valves. The little piece actually goes in that groove right there. Let me get the new one and I'll show you guys. So on your new camshaft, have this little guy here. And what happens right here, what that does is that bumps your lifter. There's the lifter. There's one. What it's going to do is as the cam is rotating, it bumps that lifter up higher, and what it's going to do is crack the valve open. As this starts spinning, the compression release spins out, and you can see it goes flat, and there's no more bump. And see, there's a bump there now. So when you go to look up your camshaft, I want you to get your valve cover out and see right there the numbers. This first set of numbers, that 0333 and the G1 on this machine. Get your numbers off of your valve cover, go to somewhere like Parts Tree and look up the correct camshaft for your machine. Get OEM Briggs and Stratton camshaft. It's going to come with a new set of lifters, oil pump shaft, which we're not going to use on this machine simply because it doesn't have an oil pump in this machine. But you get the cam and the lifter kit comes together with this. Get OEM Briggs. We also ordered a crankshaft seal and a sump cover gasket. All OEM, not aftermarket. Well, now things are about to get highly technical. Use a couple little blocks of wood. What we're going to do is get this oil seal out. I want you to pay attention to this little gap from the edge to the seal. And what we're trying to do is get it back exactly that deep when we put the new one in. Obviously, we're going to clean all this up, but first I want the seal out. You see this little valley right here? That groove going down all the way to the seal. That's to allow oil to get in there and pass through and lubricate the crankshaft, which is doing spinny things. So, just going to prop this up on a couple of pieces of wood. I'm going to get the hammeroid and the puncheroonie. Go right inside here, give a whack, and there it is. Our seal is now removed. Now our next project is to get this stuff clean. Wire brush on a drill, wire brush by hand, razor blade thing, this old inspection sticker scraper. You want to get all this stuff spotless, washed out. Same thing on that engine block. I'll be back with you when I get this done. All right, so when we get ready to put this seal in, this hole right here is what you want to pay attention to. And remember, we only want to go down just a little bit past this V edge here is where that seal needs to sit, so that it's not so far that it blocks that hole. So, y'all don't go anywhere, because I got to show you another trick about seals. Not a trick, something you need to pay attention to. Sorry, my hand is in your way. This socket isn't quite big enough, so I'm just going to work the edge a little bit at a time all the way around. And there we go. Just a little bit to the inside right there. We'll blow that little bit of brass off before we install it. And you can see we have not blocked the hole. You'll hear talk of people when you put the cover on, don't roll the seal. I'm going to show you what they're talking about. We're sliding that cover on with the seal in it. If you go up here and it rolls, what they're talking about inside this seal, it'll push it over and it'll actually pop that spring out. That's what they're talking about, rolling the seal, because it rolls when you go to push it onto the crankshaft. Now, if your engine has an oil pump, it's going to be located, this is where your cam goes into the side cover. You're going to see 1, 2, 3 bolts to pull the oil pump cover off. I'll put a link in the description to a video to show you, but it's just 3 screws. You pop that off, there's an O-ring and an oil pump in there, and it just slides right out, slides back in. Now we're about to put the cam and lifters in, tappets, call them whatever you want. What I like to do, if you look right there, see that dot? I like to put it pretty much in line with where the camshaft goes in right there. And that way it's easy for me to line that camshaft up when I put it in. So to do this, let's go ahead and get us a little oil going on this. A little bit in the top. Get your hand down in here and slide it in there. And you can also use a magnet to get them up in there. And that oil will kind of hold them in place for you. Now that those 2 lifters are in, tappets, whatever. I call them lifters. I'm an old school mechanic, automotive mechanic. And some vehicles have hydraulic lifters. Some of them have solid lifters. And they're still called lifters either way. They do the exact same job in a car. Now, we have our dot right here, which we're going to line up with the one on the crankshaft, and drop our cam right down in the hole, just like that. And you can see right down here, see the dots are lined up exactly where they're supposed to be. Next up, we're going to drop the governor. All right, our governor, we're going to set it right there. And the little tab, and you just got to line the gear up a little bit. And then once it's sitting on the cam gear, make sure your little rod is putting on your governor flap rod there, shaft thing above. Hichimo. Now we want to be careful because this paper is sticky. You don't want to tear that gasket. And we're just going to lay our gasket right up here like so. A little oil on the crankshaft here. A little bit around. I think I already got some on the cam. It'll be fine. And you can see the inside of that bad boy there is spotless. Let's get a little bit of oil on this seal. And we're going to slide this rascal right down on there. Okay, now we don't want to roll the seal. You heard me talking about that a minute ago. And I'll take a little tiny screwdriver and just kind of work it around. A little tiny bump. Check the seal. There she is. All right, get our bolts brought back in the hole. Just like that. All right. So you remember those little caps? You pop those back up on top of the valves. Now our push rods, and you can see the wear marks. This is your aluminum one. This is your steel one. And we want to put those back in the same place. The intake is toward the bottom of the engine, and you'll have to get a flashlight. I can't get the camera down in there to show you, but you'll drop those back in to the top of the lifters or tappets, whatever you want to call it. And we'll slip that one in just like that. All right, oops. All right, let's look down in here. See, I missed the hole on this one. I can't get the camera down in there, but if you just shine a light, you'll be able to see right where that's at. Next time, I'm gonna put a little dab of oil, a little dab will do. I'm gonna also put some down in here. Let's get our rockers back in place. And our nuts on there. And just run these down like this. Get our other one on. Oop, don't forget the oil. Let's put some oil in here. You don't want them starting up dry. Run this one on down. Down, down, down. Now you could do this thing on top dead center, da-da-da-da-da. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to crank the engine over by hand, hopefully, if I can not flip the whole thing. See that valve? There's your exhaust valve open right there. This one, now we're going to take a 4 thousandths. That's .004, and get just a little bit of drag on there. Then I'm going to tighten our lock nut down. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to turn the engine again. Our intake valve is open. I'm doing 4 thousandths on the exhaust. Spec actually calls for 4 on the intake, 6 on the exhaust. I just do a little bit loose on the 4 on the exhaust. I know it ain't spec, but that's how I do them. I've never had a problem, never had a comeback on them. Let's rotate the engine again. Back over. Exhaust is open. I want to recheck this. That's got a nice drag there. Keep going. Let's do this one again. This valve's open. We're going to adjust this one. Perfect. Now, normally, I'm using I use the JB Ultimate Black RTV gasket sealer. This time, I'm going to use a gasket. Do you know why? So that I can get this thing put together today, and y'all can hear it run. Because when I put that sealer on, I want it to sit overnight and dry and really cure. Let's get the bolts on the valve cover. And when you're doing this, make sure you can read the numbers, the model number and all that up top. All right, let's get her put on. We'll find out if she's gonna run.
fix it all. From tractors to chainsaws, he knew every part. But when it came to engines, he had a lion's heart. One day a mower came in with a troubled sound. Its engine sputtered and choked, couldn't mow the ground. T-Bone scratched his head, took a deep breath, said, I'll find the problem, I'll conquer this mess. Oh, T-Bone's got the magic touch. With his wrench and his know-how, he don't ask much. He'll take that bad camshaft, make it right. Rev that engine up, make it sing through the night. He dove into the mower, tools in hand, checked the spark plugs and the fuel line ran. But deep in the engine, a whispering hum, a camshaft worn, a challenge to overcome. With a steady hand and a mind so keen, T-Bone worked through dusk in the engine scene. He cleaned and he polished and he fixed that part, swore he'd never let that mower spirit depart. Oh, T-Bone's got the magic touch. With his wrench and his know-how, he don't ask much. He'll take that bad camshaft, make it right. Rev that engine up, make it sing through the night. As the sun dipped low and the stars blinked awake, T-Bone cranked that engine, gave it a shake. With a roar and a purr like a beast set free, the mower came alive just as good as could be. Now the folks in the town, they all gathered round, cheered for T-Bone, the hero they found. He fixed that mower with his hands and his heart, proved once again he's a man apart. Oh, T-Bone's got the magic touch. With his wrench and his know-how, he don't ask much. He'll took that bad camshaft, made it right. Now that mower sings through the day and the night. Yeah, T-Bone's a man, the legend they say, fixing engines and mowers, come what may. With skill and with grit, he'll never back down. In this quiet little town, he wears the crown.
I just got oil in it, guys. I'm only gonna let this thing run a second. I got the doors shut and the air conditioning on, and I'm sweating from just walking outside. Let's see. But the point is that it wouldn't turn over. Remember, it won't. That's all she would do. I cut myself. Oh, hey, you gotta set the parking brake. Durr. Got another one done. Appreciate you guys tuning in to Rayleigh's Small Engines. I'm T-Bone. This is your Get to the Point channel. Click that subscribe, share these videos with your friends. We'll see you next time.